Okay, so what we got here is we're gonna do a durability test on Polycro. This is a Polycro bag liner from Gossamer gear, and what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take this V-stake from Gossamer gear, I'm gonna stick it through the Polycro and see how difficult it is to stick something through this, all right? So here we go. You guys can see that, all right? Oh! It's really easy. Okay, so you saw that, all right? Okay, so we're gonna do the same durability test again, but this time we're gonna do it with high density 2mm painter's tarp, okay? This material is a little bit tougher than the Polycro. I'm gonna take the Gossamer gear stake, I'm gonna stick it through. Okay, here we go. All right, it's stretching, 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 stretching. Oh, all right, there it is. All right. Okay, so we're gonna do a durability test with a more expensive material, okay? This one right here, this is a sample. It's 1 foot wide. It only cost me like $5 off of eBay. And basically what this is 1% privacy mirror for Limousine windows. It isn't really solid mirror, as you can see. You can see through it. It costs about $150 to make an entire shelter out of this stuff. It can be sewn together with tenacious tape, the black tenacious tape. Basically, you would spray 3M adhesive along the edge, let it dry, then put a small, you would snip your tenacious tape kind of short, like a ½ inch thick, and lay that along the edge, then wait 24 hours to let it dry. And then just make sure that the tenacious tape is facing out when you sew so that the thread is pulling on the tenacious tape. And then you'll be able to sew this to your shelter. Okay, this stuff, it blocks the sun's heat, basically. Supposedly it blocks up to 95% of the sun's heat. The best one is called Gila Platinum, and it's for sale on Amazon. You can get it in 36 inches wide, which is pretty small for a bivvy shelter. And it also comes in 48 inches wide, which unfortunately is a little bit big. That's kind of like the size for a 2-person shelter. So anyway, it needs to be trimmed or what have you. It needs ventilation. But at any rate, this is the Limousine window film. It reflects the sun's heat, and this is the cheaper stuff from eBay. You can also buy it on eBay for cheaper. But I think that the stuff from eBay is a little bit older. This material is kind of brittle. It is tougher than the Polycro from Gossamer gear, and it's tougher than high density painter's tarp. It's also kind of loud, okay? But basically the idea is that you peel the back off of it. Now this is the cheaper stuff from eBay. I think that the Gila Platinum from Amazon, if you buy it for home windows, it doesn't have glue on it. But this cheaper stuff from eBay, it does have glue on it. The idea is that you use a solvent called orange peel. Orange peel costs like $20 plus $10 shipping. And it's a natural non-toxic solvent that melts the glue off the back. So you would need to tape this to the floor, glue side up, spray the orange peel on there, wait a while, then maybe put it in the wash machine. Don't put it in the dryer because it'll melt. And then you'll be ready to work on it. Then you have to spray the edges again with 3M, let the 3M dry, then put on the tenacious tape and then sew. So what we're gonna do here is we're gonna do a durability test. Now, obviously with this extra little bit of vinyl film on there, it's much tougher, but you're running the risk of this coming apart while you're on the road. And then, you know, this glue, it is pretty stiff. Now this stuff is kind of brittle. It has aluminum in it. Let's see here. Anyway, it's kind of loud. Okay, so see if once I start crinkling this up and showing you how sticky it is, it'll be really loud. So watch this. I'll crinkle it up. Okay, and now you can hear how loud that is. So it doesn't come apart. Okay, but it is kind of sticky. All right, when you're packing this up in your pack and stuff, it has a tendency to be kind of loud. Now I'm going to show you the durability. Just remember that when you're dealing with ultra thin synthetic polymer materials, for instance, like the Ultrasil from Sea to Summit, and this one also, you know, it starts off tough, but the cement, if you lay this on rocks, the cement will slowly rub the molecules away from this polymer and it'll become more fragile. Once it gets a hole in it, it will rip right open. So I want to show you that. Okay, so I'm going to take the stake and I'm going to stick it through here. Okay, I'm pushing. Okay, so eventually, you know, it will get a hole in it. Once it gets a hole in it, okay, watch this. Okay, it rips right open. Once it gets a hole in it, it just shreds apart, okay? So, yeah, there's some really nice Polycro that you can buy off Amazon. It's called Gila Platinum. It's basically the best. It blocks more of the sun's heat than anything else. You could go 36 by 36 A-frame with a bivy shelter that small because it won't get too hot inside because it blocks a lot of the sun's heat. It is a little bit fragile though. You got to be careful with this stuff. If it gets a hole in it, it's going to shred. So you got to be, when you put it away, you know, you got to roll it up. Basically roll it up and then fold it as small as it'll fold. But, okay, there it is. Okay, so for my final clip here, we've got the Gossamer Gear medium-sized Polycro ground cloth, all right? Supposedly this is bidirectional, tough Polycro. Now, Polycro is vinyl, Polycro is PVC. Supposedly, you know, the idea is that you put this on the ground and it protects your ultra lightweight air pad from popping. It also, it prevents some of the moisture that's in the soil beneath your camp from collecting on your tarp. So when you create a shelter, the temperature inside the shelter goes up a little bit, like maybe 2 or 3 degrees higher than the outside wilderness. So the outside wilderness is slightly colder than the air inside the shelter. That causes all the moisture underneath the shelter and inside the shelter to turn into fog and collect on the tarp. This Polycro is kind of like a prophylactic barrier that prevents some of that moisture from turning into fog and collecting on your tarp, so you don't have to pack it away in your pack. It stays on the ground. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to try to find an edge. There's 2 medium-sized Polycro ground cloths in each pack. They're very thin. Okay, so what I'm going to do here, supposedly they're really tough. I'm going to do a durability test and I'm going to see how difficult it is to stick a stake through it, like a vampire. Let's see here. All right. So here we go. Here's the Polycro, here's the stake. Oh. It's even thinner than that, okay. There it is, nice and thin, 40 inches wide. Like 8 feet long. Okay, I'm pushing. Okay, so this Polycro, right away I can tell it's tougher than the bag liner. The bag liner from Gossamer Gear, it's not very tough. Here I go, I'm pushing, up. Okay. You know, it's similar to the Limousine window, but thinner. So it snaps open faster. Let's see how, and it rips. Okay, you can see that it's tearing. Okay. All right, so if you're gonna make a shelter or a tarp out of this Polycro material, you gotta be aware that it can rip. All right, now there's 2 kinds of tape that you can use to put this together. There's a company that puts it together with indoor. Right, so this is why I wouldn't use the 3M indoor outdoor masking tape, the packaging tape. I bought it. It's not really that sticky. It's kind of a squishy material. When it rips super easy. Okay. Okay, look at that. It comes apart super easy. And then, you know, as far as its stickiness is concerned, it isn't really a tough material. This is not really sticky. I mean, you've already got to be really fragile and careful with your Polycro. If you use this indoor-outdoor masking tape from 3M, you're just going to have to be double careful because your tape's going to come apart. This is not a tough building material. I wouldn't use this for any shelter, okay? Let's see. Okay, so basically what we're talking about here is you've got your Gossamer Gear Polycro, which is tough, but fragile. You know, you can't be overzealous with this stuff. It can definitely tear apart. After all the hard work that you're going to do to put it together, this stuff can come apart. You've got your high density painter's tarp material. This is probably the toughest material. It's stretchy, as you can see. You know, nobody wants to sleep inside of a garbage bag. Children are told it's dangerous to sleep inside of a garbage bag, but you know, let's face it, it blocks the sun. It's probably going to get a little bit hot, needs ventilation, but you know, you can see it's plenty durable. All right, so even though garbage bag material is a really undesirable material, this is light. It's 2 millimeters thick. You know, it's an option. It's just an idea. I would say if you're gonna go hardcore, if you're not trying to look cool, and you need your shelter to be foolproof, and you don't want to spend a lot of money, this is only $20 for 100 feet of it, 10 feet wide. You know, if you're really going commando and nobody really knows where you are, nobody's gonna see your tent or anything, you could go high density painter's tarp. This is a good material. Okay, and then your other option is to go with this Limousine window. The Gila Platinum is like the best one, and yeah, this is tougher than the Gossamer Gear Polycro. It is Polycro, so Polycro is vinyl, Polycro is PVC. You've got your Gossamer Gear here, and you've got your eBay stuff here. Now, when you put this, whichever one you decide to use, you're gonna be using a lot of glue. You're gonna use 3M adhesive. 3M needs to dry before you can stick tape to it. Your tenacious tape should stick to it. The black is the best because it's the toughest nylon. It holds the thread the best. And also, whenever you're using tape, a little bit of dirt will stick to the edge of the tape because a little bit of glue is going to show. Since the black tenacious tape is black and the dirt is black, you won't see the dirt as much on the tape. There's another kind of tape called hexayurt tape, which is clear vinyl with fiberglass threading in it. It's bidirectional hexayurt tape, but because it's clear, little bits of dirt are going to stick to the edge of the tape, and you're going to be able to see that dirt. It isn't going to look as cool as the black tenacious tape. And then as far as getting the glue off of the Polycro in areas where you don't need it, this is what you want. This is the orange peel. This is a non-toxic solvent. It's kind of expensive. This cost me $20, and I bought a spray bottle. Okay, I bought a spray bottle to take it off, you know, to spray it on there, and then the Limousine window from eBay, yeah, it has glue on it, so that glue all has to be taken off. I think that the Gila Platinum for homes that's available on Amazon is a better deal. It doesn't have the glue on it, and it's a much better product. So anyway, I have a website. It's called pointlesstraveler.com. This is my video on Polycro. Why Polycro? You know, Polycro, it creates condensation and it keeps the person inside dry. And I know that that's a strange concept, but if you're going to have an iPhone and you're going to have a DSLR camera and you're going to have a battery pack, like a 32,000 ohm hour battery pack in your pack, and any electronics and crap, and also, just yourself having your greasy hair and your greasy air pad and your greasy sleeping bag and your greasy technical t-shirt and your greasy hiking pants, you want to put that inside of a Polycro shelter so that all of the moisture inside of the shelter turns into fog while you're asleep and collects on your tarp, so that it isn't unused, so that when you wake up in the morning, your hair is dry and clean. You're going to have to clean yourself. You're going to have to clean all that grease off of yourself much less. You're going to be much cleaner. Your gear is going to be cleaner if all of that moisture collects on your tarp. Your iPhone is definitely going to break unless you can get the moisture that's in it to be sucked out of it. And the condensation, it sucks moisture out of your electronics and make sure that your electronics are working properly. Because let's face it, the Fuji X-T1 is a weatherproof camera, but your battery pack in your phone isn't. All your other stuff, all your batteries for your camera, everything else, it's not weatherproof, so it's all going to get destroyed. All right, so anyway, check out my website. It's called pointlesstraveler.com. Thanks a lot.